Excellent, thank you. I'm Mike Labossiere. I'm going to speak first, and then Paul's going to follow. So basically, the concept being is we want to test the theory of prohibited drivers in the Lower Mainland. Are they active? Is there a way actually to address them? And what's our current status? We had our analysts look at the numbers. In the Lower Mainland of British Columbia, we have 2,658 prohibited drivers. Out of that, we had 312 with 2 or more prohibited convictions. And out of these 312, this is an astounding one, 10,949 negative contacts with police. So obviously, we have some people that are prohibited driving that are very active criminally, as well as a lot of driving offenses. We believe that these subjects were continuing to drive. So our objective was to target these high-risk offending drivers and remove them from the roadways, trying to make our roadways and communities safer. And then is there a correlation between these high-value targets, high-active criminal active targets, and prohibited prolific drivers? So we got the approval to fund a 9-week pilot project. It was quite a small team initially. It went from October 18th to December 16th, 2016. 2-person team, 1 provincial traffic member from the RCMP, and 1 integrated road safety unit member, which is totally ETEP funded. Sorry, it's the Enhanced Traffic Enforcement Program. It's separate funding that we get through the province, through actually ICBC, our provincial insurer. We deployed them in unmarked vehicles. So rather than having uniformed members go out there and target people, obviously in a marked PC, we were going to send them out there in unmarked vehicles. They're wearing uniforms, but got the raid jackets on in full gear. And then we had our analysts provide the list of these subjects. So we had the 312 subjects. We had their addresses associated with them, all the vehicles associated with them, and then we left it up to the team to work with the analysts to prioritize the subjects when they would go out each morning. The shifting model was developed to make the most efficient use of the resources, and we actually deployed it with our helicopter, Air 1, so that we could take advantage of our helicopter because they were working the same shifts. And it ties into the ALPR. We sent them out with an ALPR, so the Automated License Plate Recognition Program. So it was started in 2007 in British Columbia. Basically, the license plate is read and recorded with an immediate response. A lot of the provinces have adopted this, some don't. We currently have 50 in use throughout British Columbia, a lot in the Lower Mainland, but they're spread out throughout the province. And the objective of the ALPR program, which ties into the ETEP model, URSU, and actually the prohibited project really well, is to reduce auto theft and motor vehicle violations, in particular those related to prohibited, suspended, unlicensed, and uninsured drivers. And the ALPR program assists in the recovery of stolen vehicles, property, and related vehicle criminality. When you look at the stats we're going to get into in a bit, you'll see the effectiveness of the ALPR in this program and just tying into making our roadways safer. Just a couple of shots of a vehicle with the ALPR on it. You can see it there and stuff, and some of the screenshots you can get from it. So we deployed the ALPR for a 9-week pilot project, and I'm going to turn this over to Paul to talk about the stats.
And just to kind of go back to that picture, you saw that was a marked police car with the cameras up embedded in the light bar. For my unit itself, we use a covert ALPR vehicle. So the camera equipment is mounted on a nondescript vehicle. Our vehicle itself is a Trailblazer, a Chevy Trailblazer. Nothing that would scream police on it. The cameras itself are mounted up into the roof rack, which we had to kind of build into it. So it's pretty nondescript. General public really has no concept that we're out there. During the 9-week pilot, we read about 45,000 plates. From that, there were 688 hits. We're getting anything from people on warrants, from prohibited drivers, people that need to be served prohibition notices, suspending their driver's license, to no insurance violations, etc. Our team, depending on the traffic orders that we're in throughout the Lower Mainland, we typically will go into more of a higher volume, where we're reading anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 plates a day in our 10-hour shifting model. We can't action every hit that we're hitting, so we're actually only prioritizing it to more of the higher stuff throughout that period. Oops. So during the pilot, that was a very short period of time, we ended up arresting 41 people. Out of that, there was criminal charges and Motor Vehicle Act charges for driving while prohibited. 41 of those arrests stemmed from 41 criminal charges, 22 Motor Vehicle Act charges, which are all prohibited drivers. 6 stolen vehicles were recovered, 11 arrests, warrants executed, and a variety of items were seized. 2 pictures that are up on that screen there. One of the prohibited drivers that we were targeting had multiple convictions, had 4 previous ones in the last 2 years. At the time of his arrest, he had over $30,000 cash on him, connected to the drug trade as well. So all this stuff...
Oh, you got to tell him the story, but where he was going, how you stopped him.
Well, he was actually on a flight going to Mexico. The funny thing about that, he had stuff on him that would suggest that he was going to be smuggling that money back into that country, back through organized crime channels. So the people that we're out there looking for are involved in a lot of other stuff, not just the Motor Vehicle Act. The weapons one there, you see another prohibited driver that we were following around, and at the time of his arrest, all that stuff on that table he had on him. A loaded handgun on him, he had weapons in every part of that vehicle. So the people that we're targeting are the right people, the people that we don't want out there in our communities. Some of our partnerships, again, we have right now as we move forward, which I'll get into just to give you perspective of that. Our team is 6 members, myself and then 5 constables that I'm the acting supervisor in. On my radio that's in my vehicle, I have real-time access to our police helicopter Air 1. It's a matter of seconds before they're out with our surveillance team. They know what areas and communities we're targeting. We're in a different city every day. For those of you that know BC, anywhere from Squamish out to Hope, BC is our geographical area that we cover, but primarily we start in one city. The probation office or bail supervisors are a huge component to this. We like to continue to follow our people that we arrest, enforce their bail conditions. Some of our guys go on house arrest, things like that. We go and do some checks and some surveillance on them after their arrest to ensure their compliance. The constant communication between the probation office is huge for some of our follow-up. Civil Forfeiture Office of BC, great tool. We not only get them in front of the courts, we're seizing their property, such as their vehicle, the money that we're getting off them, things like that. It's getting referred to civil forfeiture, they're taking it. It's an additional hit to them and more of a deterrent for them to not do this in the future. Again, our various municipal police departments and RCMP detachments throughout our geographical area identifying some targets to us as well, and areas of hotspots that we can go in and set up during certain times of the day.
So after the 8-week pilot project, 9-week pilot project, I got authority to move it forward to a full-time team. Basically, criminals are going to continue to drive whether they're suspended, have a driver's license, or have any insurance. That's the bottom line. They don't care. Paul can relate to a whole bunch of conversations they've had when they've arrested these drivers, and they don't care. They don't care if they have a license. They don't care if they're prohibited. They're going to continue to drive. So many are very active, high-value criminal targets, part of our provincial threat assessment program. I'm very active in the drug trade. We need to remove these high-risk offending drivers, take them off the roadways, making our roadways safe. So we came up with the creation of the full-time prohibited driver team, deployed in unmarked, unconventional vehicles, which we just got, I think, last week, some of our new vehicles. So you wouldn't recognize them as unmarked police vehicles. And 6-person, fully ETEP-funded team. What that means is that it costs the municipalities that we're working in the Lower Mainland $0. This is paid for through the Enhanced Traffic Enforcement Program that's paid for through the Insurance Company of British Columbia. So we're working in Burnaby's, the Surreys, the Abbotsfords of the world, and we're doing it and we're arresting people in the area, some of their high-value, criminally active targets, and it's costing them nothing. So they're very happy that we're working in the area. It's been very successful. Now Paul will talk about some successes since we created the full-time team.
So I just ran the stats up before we came here. So we have from February, basically February 1st is when we implemented the 6-man unit to May. So a 4-month snapshot, we've arrested 87 subjects. 63 of them were prohibited drivers. And the prohibited drivers are both criminal prohibited drivers from criminal court prohibitions or Motor Vehicle Act. From that, we've gotten 63 criminal charges before the courts and 78 Motor Vehicle Act prohibited driving charges. 2 vehicles themselves, stolen vehicles were recovered, as well as we do still write violation tickets from time to time, 337 of those. We arrested 16 people on unendorsed warrants that were out, missing court dates, things like that, that they've been on the run for a while. And our team executed 2 search warrants, one on a residence and one on a vehicle for actually that slide you saw with the weapons, for further guns and ammunition that were at this person's house. So from our ALPR system itself, just over 207,000, 207,000 or whatever, yeah. 207,000, I can't even read my own writing. Our goal by the end of the year, this track that we're doing is about 1 million vehicles that we're gonna run in our period of time. We're a 4 10-hour shifting model, so from Tuesday to Friday is our shifting pattern, with our ability to basically do whatever we want to basically snapshot.
Well, maybe not whatever we want,
But we'd be given the flexibility of a huge, here's your area, go do your job. We don't get pulled to go do something else. So we target a specific area. The guys are enjoying it. 2 quick snapshot examples. One was from 2 weeks ago. We started off in Langley. We were supposed to be working in Langley for the day. Our ALPR, we were out not even 15 minutes. Highway 1 in 200th Street, for those of you who know that BC. We got a hit on a vehicle that drove by us with stolen plates on it. Our mandate is arresting the driver safely, not only for us, but for the general public around. The people that we're generally targeting are flight from police kind of guys that will ram their way out of a box and pin or that kind of scenario. So with our unit being nondescript vehicles, we are a plainclothes unit team. We do have our raid jackets and vests that we put on at the time of arrest. We entered in surveillance with that vehicle. We spent the next 2 hours following it through the Lower Mainland, through Vancouver, and we ended up in Squamish, just outside of Whistler, to the point where the driver exited the vehicle and he had no idea their whole unit was there to take him into custody. Of him, he was a prohibited driver. We did not know that at the time. We were just going on the hit for the stolen plates. He had just been arrested a week prior on a criminal code impaired investigation that he was released by the courts on a series of strict conditions. We ended up holding him in custody, did a remand hearing with the Justice of the Peace over the phone, and since that day he's been remanded to custody pending trial on all his stuff. He had a variety of other charges, criminal that we recommended, as well as the Motor Vehicle Act stuff. So that's the kind of people we want to get. There's people that are going to continue, like the inspector said here, they're going to drive regardless if a judge gives them a promise to appear at a later date with conditions. It's proven time and time again, and these are the kind of guys that we want to get off the street. That's pretty much it.